We are thrilled today. We have such a great opportunity before us today. This is the year of the double at Georgia Christian Business Network. And we believe that God wants to bring double in every aspect of your life. And so what we've done is we have identified some outstanding presenters that are going to help us help you to experience double in your life. So right now, what I'd like to do.
Where did she go?
Uh-oh.
Beth.
Uh-oh, sorry. Here I am. What I'd like to do, sorry about that, is to introduce you to our guest speaker today. I am elated to introduce Angie Cella. I'm going to allow her an opportunity to share with you just for a few seconds here a little bit about who she is. Then I'm going to take it back, and then we're going to hear a lot more from Angie Cella, because I have a couple of things to say in between that. But right now, Angie, I'd just like to welcome you to the Georgia Christian Business Network Take Charge Tuesday Power Call. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Beth. You're amazing. And I'm so honored to be here and excited and a little nervous because I want to really represent your amazing group and organization and
well,
our Holy Spirit and God and everybody. And just, I have a lot on my heart to share, and I'm just so grateful to be here.
Well, we're going to just provide you that opportunity to do just that. We have promoted your bio and put you out there on paper. You've done some wonderful, exciting things. And honestly, what I want to position is, I'm just going to read just a short paragraph from your book, Blinker, that you gave me. And I know you've got a presentation outline, because what our honest desire is to help people to understand that God is still in the blessing business. He wants us to dream. And I'm going to let you tell that story in a second. But what I want to say about Georgia Christian Business Network in the year of the double, we understand from God, according to Isaiah 61:7, that this year He is positioning us to receive the double. We've helped people to understand that there are 6 characteristics.
Oh, we lost you again.
Did we lose you? Or am I losing you? Are you there? Can you hear me? Toby, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Beth.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
We can hear you. We'll check.
Angie, we've lost you.
Oh, we'll go check on
Heather,
her.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to get through this, because this is just so dynamic. It's wonderful. Can you hear me now, Angie?
Sorry, I lost you. So I think it might be my internet though.
I think it's on your end.
I'm so sorry.
I checked with a couple people on the call. No problem. But are you hearing me now?
I hear you now. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
You said
Heather, can you hear me? Okay, someone chat to me. Erica, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. I'm thinking it's on Heather is Angie's assistant. And so Heather can't hear me. Liz, can you hear me? It's on their end.
Yeah, I can hear you, Beth.
Okay, thank you, Toby. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to talk just a little bit here about Angie, but before I get into that, I want to go ahead. She's dropped. They're coming back in just a second. But I want to talk about Georgia Christian Business Network in the year of the double. There's 6 characteristics that we believe that each of us needs to harness, to develop or refine, however, wherever aspect that you have entertained these particular characteristics. And I've walked through an acronym for double that helps to show forth the importance of each of these. And the acronym goes decidedly disciplined, that's the D. The O is optimally obedient. The U is uniquely unified, and the B is boldly believing, limitlessly loving, and excellently executed. And so these are the great opportunities for us to experience double in our life this year. So I'm excited that we've identified all of these awesome people that will take the platform, and we've come against the enemy. And Angie's coming back on this call in just a second. Most of you know, and you're here because you want to glean from her. And I want to share with you, and maybe I should wait just a second because I'm hearing some correspondence here to have her come on. But okay, here we go. Well, okay, praise God. We're going to get through this. What I want you to know is assuredly, God is in the blessing business. Anybody that knows that if God has something good for you, the enemy is not just going to roll over and play dead, okay? So I promise you in the name of Jesus, they're coming back on this call in just a second. I know. Okay, so what they're doing right now is she's connecting through her phone. But I want to thank you all for joining us on the call today here on Zoom. I'm totally excited about what God is going to speak. Anybody here on the call today familiar with Blinger, the product, Angie's book, Blinger? Anyone? Somebody talk to me.
Yes, I have it on my Audible wish list.
Oh man, awesome. Okay. So were you, Sabrina, were you familiar prior to GCBN promoted the information?
Yes, I was adding books to my my wish list from last year, and that was one of them.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Have you started to read the book yet? Have you gotten into it yet?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Oh my God, you're in for a treat. And one of the opportunities that I'm going to just read is a particular paragraph, and Angie already knows it. So I'm going to go ahead and share it with you right now. And so, because she wrote it, okay? She says in January 2020, Blinger was nominated for Toy of the Year, and I was nominated for the Wonder Woman Award with WIT for Inventor of the Year. At the time of this writing, and this is the last chapter of her book, she said, at the time of this writing, we've sold over 27 million wholesale worth of product, 60 million retail. I went from a dream using all my savings, going more than 100,000 in debt. Come on in here, Angie. Going more than 100,000 in debt, selling our home and risking another 120,000 and struggling for more than 4 years to make that dream happen. And God made the dream much bigger than I had ever imagined. I mean, is that amazing or what? Is that just outstanding? And all of that from obedience to a dream. Hey, Angie, how are we
Hi.
doing? Hi there.
Well, I'm on a totally different network now, so hopefully this one will stay with us.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're good. Listen, I read the paragraph that I'd asked you, was it okay to put out there from
Yes.
the last chapter? I just
Oh.
finished reading that, and I told him you didn't need to hear it because you wrote it. Okay. And so, so how about that? So
That's
now
awesome.
you're back, Angie, and I talked to
Yes.
them about the 6 characteristics that you and I have already discussed last week in our conference call, that GCBN is driving for the double to help people to develop those characteristics and embrace and harness those in order to position themselves to experience the double. So now we're ready to hear from you. Just start
Okay.
sharing with us, you know,
Okay,
just introduce Angie Cella from Angie's Heart and start talking to us about this wonderful opportunity that God has allowed you to experience.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, so just real quick, in case those of you that don't know my story, I'm a single mom. I have 4 kids, amazing kids, of course. And I had a dream. I had a dream in 2014. I actually know the date because I took a picture of my daughter the next morning. So in November 2nd, 2014, I had a dream about this product. And I'll just show you the product real quick. This is what it ended up being. And it's basically a device, and you load crystals. These are Swarovski crystals, but this is our toy product, our women's product. Now we just launched this year. Looks like it's more of a compact. I don't know. Anyway, so here we go. So you put the crystals in there, and then you just apply them to your hair. I don't know if y'all can see that. And in my dream, it was basically, I was using a flat iron, and every time I squeezed it together, it put crystals in my hair. And I remembered it. And the next morning I got my oldest daughter up and I threw some crystals in her hair and I said, now go play. Let's see if they fall out. And they were just like rhinestones from the craft store. So thankfully, some of that adhesive, I'll just give you a heads up, is not good for hair, but thankfully it didn't hurt her hair and they stayed in. And then since we found this, just so I don't forget to tell you guys this, we've since found an actual medical tape that's safe for hair and skin. So that's the adhesive we use today. But I didn't know any of that then. I just thought it was a great idea and I loved it and I was off. And then a few weeks later, I had another dream, and this time it was with God. And he said, I want you to make this product. And so that dream I remembered in the afternoon. I was driving. I had all my kids in the back and I was driving, one of them probably, or all of them somewhere. And it just hit me. And it was just, you know how a dream will hit you later in the day when you see something that reminds you of it and it all comes back real like a flash. And that's what it did. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had a dream about God last night. And he wants me to make this product, which I thought was very weird, but at the same time, like, wow, this must be important. And I really want to talk to you guys today about importance of listening to God. So that I'm just going to throw that out there real quick. So I spent the next 4 years trying to find an engineer to just make a prototype. And if you saw all the different prototypes and stages we went through with that, it was crazy to think that something so simple could be actually somewhat complicated to form a design around. The glue, the tiny stones, just that it was a manual thing. So it had to work right every time. It had to be precise. And so loading it and, how was it going to be a strip? And then it ended up being a disc. So I used all my savings. I went into crazy debt and I gave, I'll talk about that later, but I ended up just, is it me? Did God pick the wrong person? I mean, I'm really not doing well with this. And in my 4th year, my 5th engineering firm, tail between my legs. I don't even know if this idea is possible anymore. He did it in 30 days. He basically created this prototype that we use today. And I didn't even realize he did it in 30 days. Again, I'm a single mom of 4, so I'm busy and distracted all the time. Until I wrote my book and I went back and looked at, I just wanted to, line things up right. And then I saw from the date I hired him to the date he sent me some texts about, or emails or whatever, about that he was shipping it to me. And it was 30 days exactly. And 12 days later, I had it in my hands, the prototype. So I got my kids together. I was out of money. No one wanted to invest in this idea. And even today, when I tell people about my product, it's, if they haven't heard about it already or seen it, they're kind of like, oh, okay. But then I'm like, oh, let me show you, because I can tell they don't get it. And I'll pull it out of my purse and I'll throw a few in my hair. And most of the time, recently, someone didn't respond this way, whatever. Most of the time, 99% of the time, they're like, oh my gosh, and they get excited. So it's a very visual product. They have to see it to really get that work. And so anyway, I got my kids together since, and you know, men are mostly the it was all men that I approached to invest in the company. And, you know, they don't do nothing against men, but they're mainly the group, maybe not anymore, but, you know, mainly the investors out there, and they don't do anything with their hair, you know, so they definitely didn't get it. And so I got my kids together in the kitchen and I said, what if we just sell the house? I had gotten it in a foreclosure. So I already had equity in my home just within 4 years, and, you know, prices had gone up. So I said, what if we sell the house and we'll just rent an apartment or something for a year or two? I kind of quietly said to my children, and I'll build the tool myself in China. Just literally, I didn't see another way to bring my product to market except to manufacture it myself. I'm sorry, hold on a second, something happened. And my kids just stared at me, blank stares. And then my oldest said, you've got to do it, Mom. And, you know, she'd been on that 4-year path with me. Day one, I was putting stones in her hair. So I was like, great. So we sold the house. We rented a townhome and closer to their schools. And so it was amazing. And I started manufacturing the product. I was going to be the manufacturer. I was going to bring the product to market. I booked a booth at Toy Fair in 2018. I got a cheap hotel across the street from the World Trade Center there in Dallas. And my product actually arrived to my hotel room 2 days before this Women in Toy show, which is the day before Toy Fair every year. And that's a great event to know about, by the way. You guys can email me. I'm Angie@blinger.com. If you ever have an idea for toy. I know a lot about the toy space now, obviously. And anyway, the Women in Toys event was on Monday. The toy show started Tuesday. Got a little hotel. And 2 days before the toy show, I spent the weekend getting my booth ready. No one else was there, by the way. It was just me in the conference, you know, in the trade center. And I was like, wow, how aren't other people trying to get their booths ready? And I was the only one there all weekend. Everyone else set their booth up on Monday. And I'm so thankful I didn't know that, because if I had tried to do that myself, it would have been a disaster, because it literally took me all weekend just to get my booth put together. And so I can be such a last minute person. If you tell me, oh, everybody puts it together on Monday, I would have waited till Sunday to get there and been crying. But anyway, Monday though, I wouldn't have been able to put my booth together, because Monday was Women in Toys, incredible organization for women and toy and inventors and or just creative women in that space. And 2 days before that event, my product arrived by FedEx, 100 pieces in packaging from my factory. They had to rush it because, you know, I just started the tooling, the manufacturing process, which is first you build a tool and then you manufacture, blah, 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 in May of that year. So that was really fast to even get that many that quickly. And I took it to the Women in Toys show. And by the end of the day, I was the talk of the show. The show was starting the next day. The show technically hadn't even started and everybody wanted Blinger. It was incredible. It was like overnight success to them. You know, I just came out of nowhere, already manufactured the tooling. And then this is really taking me back. So that was 2018. It was so overwhelming though, the number of people that wanted to carry the product, that I went to, I decided to license it within a week. I decided to license it probably before I even left to this toy company that I'd really connected with. I'm in Pennsylvania, they're in Bristol, PA. So I thought, this is, I would just do a royalty exchange. So I would get royalties for the license deal. They would take over, basically. They would manufacture all the product. And I was also going to keep the women's product. The women's product to me was a separate market, obviously, but also they weren't interested in that market. So I was going to keep the women's line. So I was still going to use my tooling that I'd made, but it was going to switch to be just, Swarovski crystals and not, plastic rhinestones or the kids. They're still cute and shiny, but they're not as sparkly as the crystals. And so I was going to be the women's, and they were going to be the toy. And within a few days of us signing the contract, and they took it to Hong Kong for a toy fair there, they were calling me saying they might be interested in the women's too. And I wasn't really interested. Again, I was going to still do the women. So that didn't work out. But then I started having issues with fulfillment and seeing all of the challenges. Again, I was just back into a learning curve of not knowing what I was doing or how to manufacture it. So I ended up in 2019 licensing to them also the women's product. And they said, even though they were a toy company, they wanted that product too. And because they just saw a huge market for it. All the toy buyers were like, do you have anything for the beauty aisle? Is basically what was happening. And so I was like, great, I'll just kick back, relax, take in the royalties of both sides, be a mom for once, totally. And yeah, no, God was like, that's not happening. As you can imagine, that's usually how it goes with him. So okay, so we're in our townhome. We're going through 2019. I guess, I'm still involved quite a bit because there's just, I actually went to China in 2019, way before COVID happened. I did not bring it to America. Sorry, that's just kind of funny. Anyway, and then I think I made close to $1 million in 2019. They sold 50 million retail, and I put a down payment on land. I started building our dream home for me and my kids. And then I ended up winning Inventor of the Year in 2020. And we should have been Toy of the Year, but that's okay. That was political. And then a week after COVID started, my townhome flooded with sewer water. That was awful. And so one of my friends was like, look, you've got money now, just go get a house, because who knows when your house is going to be built now with COVID. And so I went and got us a house. So that's our second move in 2 years. Just so you know, like I literally by 2021, I'd moved 4 times in 3 years. And that was awful. I never want to move again. 2020, the sales went down, but of course they were still actively engaging with me. I had to approve things. They launched a couple other products, a nail wand and a little mini blinger on the go, but nothing was really happening on the women's front. And then I ended up getting the women's back in 2020 because they weren't moving forward, and it was just really weird. Like something had changed. Well, one of the things that had changed was they were purchased by another toy company, and that was really the beginning of the end with my relationship with both those companies. The first company I licensed it to, and the company that bought them, but I didn't know it. So God knew it, but I didn't know it. And so listen to God. I can not stress that enough. And really just, even when you're just in a hurry and you've got 5,000 things to do, I'm telling you, just, you cannot, and we know this as Christian, as believers, like when it's been a while and we're doing everything of our own efforts, and we're not slowing down and just, connecting with him. First of all, we know how that feels, but we also know how it feels when we are in the word and we're connecting with
Yes,
him.
yes. Angie, so
Yeah.
one thing that I want to just hear from you as well. This is wonderful. I did not want to interrupt your flow because you're flowing, given it's chronological. It's so encouraging to hear. But
Thank you.
what kept you going? You had a dream. And this is one thing that I really communicated and promoted and leading up to your comment here, is that the thing that amazed me most is that when I met you at the Central the Christian Chamber of Commerce out of Central Florida with Crystal, Crystal Parker's on the
Crystal Parker.
call,
love-
with Crystal Parker, Erica Jackson, and we all were there.
Yeah.
When Crystal introduced Erica and I to you, and some of the others that were on the committee for the Kingdom Women of Tomorrow's Entrepreneurs, and she shared with us the product. And one of the things that just resonated so strongly for me is that you had a dream, and you, from my perspective, believed that God had given you that dream. And from having believed that, continued to this 4-year that you just walked us through of turmoil, is what I could say. Turmoil.
And it was, and one of what got me through, I think that's what you're wanting me to share, right? Okay, is that he was my partner. And I am going to get to this in a little bit more about obedience. That's one of the things I really want to talk about. And I hate to even say that word without going right into it, because obedience to me was a bad word. I did not like that word. That was a word that was probably used in my household very negatively. So I never, and as someone who found, I didn't have a relationship with God or Jesus until I was 44 years old. And I'm 54 now. So I tried, but it just wasn't happening until it happened. And I do want to say, cannot give up on people. I'm going to say that right now. That's not in my presentation, but you cannot give up on people, because people can change. And I don't know, maybe someone was praying for me. Things totally changed for me from that day forward. So when doing this journey, knowing it's from God, knowing that He wants this, and knowing that He's my business partner, that's how I saw it. Now, I was still a young, immature, if you will, Christian believer. So I took on a lot. And then every so often when I would hit those walls, I would be reminded that this was His idea. And I would be like, this was and I would talk that way to God, right or wrong. And I would say, I'm giving it back to you. And I would especially give it back to Him. I noticed, I learned, He trained me. Something happened when I would be in the midst of just going down this one path, and I would keep getting interrupted. And when those interruptions came, I started to pay attention to the interruptions, that maybe this isn't the way we go here, and maybe this isn't what God wants, and to slow down and just listen. And I'm not saying I heard His voice, Angie, in my dream, I heard His voice. I saw His face. I since learned we never see His face. I saw His face, and maybe, I don't know, my mind made it His face, but, and He doesn't look anything like the pictures of Jesus. He's actually a Black man with chubby cheeks in my dream, with a white stubble beard, looked very friendly.
Wow.
Anyway,
Wow. One,
That was the
one
taste that
point
came-
that I want, and then you continue, is that while you were trying to get back on when we had the technical difficulties, I gave the 6 characteristics for the acronym double outlines to be able
Okay.
to harness and experience and position yourself. What you're modeling is the first 2 points, which are foundational: the decidedly, disciplined, and
Yeah.
optimally obedient.
Yes,
You
Yeah.
decided from point 1, from
yes,
dream 1,
yep,
that it was something about this that came straight from God. You can say babe Christian or whatever you want to say, but
Yeah.
you made a decision from the
Mhm.
onset that
the
you
decision
were
was
going to.
mine for 6
Mhm.
weeks. It was my decision, it was my dream. It became his from the second dream.
Awesome. And then the second point, and I
And
want
then
you to
it was, then
continue
I
flowing.
know now that it was all his from the beginning.
All
but
his, the
of course,
whole
that
while, the
little
whole
window
while.
there, I was like, what a great idea I dreamt about. God wasn't getting it. And he was like, I want you to make this product.
Yeah,
That's what he
yeah.
said. I want you to make this
And the
product. So he
second
was
point
good.
was optimally obedient.
Yes.
Once you obey, I said it last week, when God gives you something to do, once you obey, the rest belongs to God. You don't worry
Yeah.
yourself about the outcome. Keep
Mhm.
flowing.
And let's skip ahead. I will say that I'll come back to my story. Let's end it with, I've won Inventor of the Year. I'm building my house. I move into my house in 2021. If you've ever built a house, it's dreadful. It's like a full-time job. It is so detailed and so hard. And just even, I obviously didn't build, I had a guy that was building the house, but even so, it's so many details that you have to decide and put into it. So it's really just arduous thing to do. So when I moved, now I'm kind of doing it, but when I moved into my house, our dream house in 2021, again, it was like, okay, I'm done. I've worked hard to build the house. I have the women's back, but I'll get to it when I get to it. And in 2021, God was like, are you done? Have you finished? That's all I heard was, have you really finished? Are you really ready to just kick back? I don't know why I just want to kick back all the time. But, I am a hard worker and I am persistent and I do follow through with most things. I'm also very human in that way that I might not follow through with everything as much as I'd like to. But the message I kept hearing in 2021 was, you're not done. And I'll just go ahead and tell you. So 2021, I thought, I'm going to go to a beauty show and I'm going to take my product. I literally spray painted them, or I took, I spray painted some blingers because I couldn't use my old black hair blingers. Never mind. But anyway, I spray painted some blingers. I threw a sticker over them that said Bijou. I called it Bijou. And I went to Cosmoprof in Vegas with my 4 children. And my 3 children basically never left the hotel room, even though I had plans for them throughout the complex. They just stayed in the hotel room and played. But my oldest daughter and I worked the booth. And I went to Cosmoprof in 2021 with one goal. And that was my goal was to find another partner to license my product to. Okay. Because I didn't know that I was in hot water essentially with the new toy company. I thought I was all good, right? Like I had the toy part taken care of. Now I'm going to get the women's part taken care of. So I'm going to find a licensed partner. Conair sounds good, or someone like that. And they're going to manufacture the women's product. And I'm going to get royalties from both companies now. And I am just going to be that full-time mom, which is not really actually a goal. I mean, I am full-time mom, so it's not like I'm not a full-time mom. But anyway, that was my plan. And I went there and I was coming back with my daughter on the plane. And I never wanted to license it from that moment on. And I was talking to my daughter about that. And I said, I don't know how to describe it, but it was working with the women, actually doing their hair, seeing their reactions, thinking about processing the order and getting the order to them and having them receive the package. And I said, it just felt like, and before I said the word, my daughter said the word at the same time, we both said love. And it's corny, but it was so strong and like, just that feeling was so amazing of that, just loving on women, and just, we had the best booth. We were laughing and just complimenting each other, and it was just beautiful. And I don't know, so I was like, I'm not giving it away, and no one approached me anyway. So here we go. I went through this last year, 2022, and then I went to Orlando and saw Crystal Parker again. And the first time I met Crystal Parker, I'm going to go into my presentation now. The first time I met Crystal Parker, she said to me, we met through Zoom. She said, Angie, what a story of obedience. And I was just in my house, I don't know if I actually launched the women's yet. I think I was maybe close, but no real major work had begun. And I was like, and she was like, what a testimony to your obedience to God. I think that's what you said, Crystal, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And I was like, obedient? Like in my head, I'm like, I wasn't obedient. And then I go, well, but I didn't say all that. I just said, well, I was just doing what God asked me to do. And she just laughed. And we've since laughed like a million times over that, because it was like, yeah, I think that is the definition of obedience. So, but again, remember, and I think other people feel this way, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe not the women brought up in the church, but again, I wasn't, obedience was an ugly word. Obedience was an even dirty, horrible word in my mind, and never had connected it as a new believer to God before Crystal Parker said that to me. And I want to tell you that for the first 4 years of my journey, when everybody's like, how did you do it? Oh my gosh, how come you didn't quit? Most people would have quit after the second one, maybe even the first one, and you stayed through the fifth one and lost all this money and on an idea. And everybody wants to say I was obedient then. And I have to tell you, I know I was following what God said to do, but I didn't feel like it was a choice. When this last year.
Oh my God, hold up. Hold up.
Yeah.
When we get there, it's three, so much. I'm just letting you spill out because I just so many comments, but we got to unpack just for a second here. Okay. Uniquely unified is the U in double. You and Crystal Parker and I mean, Erica's on here. Oh. We just got to get the band back one day and get on a Zoom call and tell people just how urgent it is to be uniquely unified. There are people that are assigned to you to help bring clarity, to usher you forward. I mean, listen, I'm going to just tell you right now, I think Crystal Parker is going to be on the Tuesday Power Call later this month, right, Crystal? Yes. And then Erica's going to come, I believe, in February, early February, mid-February. It's important to understand that uniquely unified. I'm not going to take the time right now to talk about that, but you've got to understand that everybody's not your BFF, but God has strategically predestined people to enter your life to usher you forward. That's one. The other thing is boldly believing. She said she didn't think there was any options. Oh my God, when we get there, when God pressed upon our heart, that is so important to him. That
it was, go ahead.
Oh
sorry.
My God.
Yeah.
And then to love limitlessly, and you go again. Love limitlessly. We've got to, you said we were just loving on each other.
Yeah,
that's
we
all.
were. Yeah. And my
Oh,
daughter,
gosh.
she's kind of the role model in our home. Like, it's amazing. Her walk with God is, she's incredible. So for her and I both, just, I look up to her, and in many ways, but especially that way. And so when she said it and I said it together, I knew it was of and from God. It was all God right there. It was to happen. However, so what I want to point out to everybody is that obedience, that's when obedience started hitting me in 2021, mainly because 2021 was very hard. First of all, the end of 2020, when I started manufacturing a new tool for Blinger, because I couldn't use the original tool I manufactured. Long story. I couldn't use the toy tool. Long story. The toy company had it. There was issues there, and then they were trying to get involved in the middle, and that was not working. So I ended up manufacturing a new tool with a new manufacturer, and that was hard. And I remember thinking, what am I doing? I'm in this house, and I've done a really good job, and I was like, and then I would be like, oh, but God wants this done. All right. So it was a very different walk with him. And I can't quite explain, I can explain the differences, but I don't understand yet how to share, like, what does that mean to you all yet? I hope to someday. Maybe I'm writing another book, and that helps to get it figured out, writing. But the second walk, I wanted to quit 150 times this past year. Quit, not do it. I don't want it. I'm not interested in doing this anymore. I'm obviously not good at any part of this journey you've put me on, because fulfillment is very hard. And there are so many, just dealing with Amazon alone is, who knows? I mean, it's insane, the stuff that I literally just don't know. I don't know how to be a CEO. I don't know how to be a manager. I don't know I have to work with people. I can't do this all by myself. And no, you need people. And he gave me people. He gave me beautiful people. Sorry, I knew this was going to happen. He gave me 3 beautiful women. At first, I hired all men just by chance. They were the only ones that showed up for my interview call. And then they're all gone. And I have 3 beautiful women that just are amazing. And I have always done things on my own. I have never I've been a part of teams, but I've never been the leader of a team, because I'm a little afraid of people sometimes, because they can be mean or I can be misunderstood, or I can be mean. And I don't want to tell people what to do. Like, you go figure it out. I'm not in charge. Oh, I'm in charge. It's kind of that mental craziness in my head, and very hard for me and very scary for me. The scariest thing, in fact, that I did this last year was to hire someone. And I have hired now several people, and 3 have taken off very well. And that has been life-changing, because to be able to work with people and to know people that you can count on, and that they believe in you to not only make sure their needs are met, because you're paying people, which is a little, I remember at one point I was crying. It was on my birthday this year. December was a crazy month for us, and I was crying, and I was thinking, why do I have to support all the people? I'm still a single mom. Like, I have to take care of the kids, and then I got to take care of myself, and then I've got all these other people that are dependent on me. And I was like, poor me the whole day. And then my daughter was here, and she's great. She was, I can't remember everything she said, but she sure can speak truth right to me. And it was just a little pity party, but it's amazing to actually have that responsibility. And you don't always carry it very well with grace. I don't, but I usually do, just so you guys know. I'm not crying all the time about taking care of others. I love that I can do that. I want you guys to know that. That to me is a blessing, of course. But obedience, one of the things I found out about obedience, and I do want to share this with you guys, is that when you are obedient, and I think especially when it's hard, you will find it is the most rewarding experience and freeing experience. When you can really go, I mean, it was like this for me, you know, ups and downs with it and wanting to quit. But then there was, I want to refer to my notes because I really worked on this. I want to come back to that. When we do what God asked of us, the expectations of our world really seem small in comparison. So when you're really hand in hand with him, you're doing something, and it's specifically assigned to you, by the way. It's not assigned to someone else, and he's just throwing it out, you know, like throw it up on the wall and see what sticks. It's not how God works. He specifically assigned it to you. And, you know, is it hard? Is it tricky? Yes. Is it time consuming? Possibly, yes. But does it feel like dread or labor when you're doing it? No, not, I never really felt that the work was hard or dreadful. I felt the amount of work was hard or dreadful, but it was the amount of work was because of my fear of hiring someone and letting someone help me. And now it just feels right and perfect. And I made this booklet. This is really, I was really praying for this meeting about the double. So we colored these, my daughter and I colored these on all the booklets. These are the Sunday service notes. It's just another idea I had. It's a real simple idea. It's nothing like bling or anything, but so it just has every Sunday of the year. And then I just put a little quote here. They did the wrong font when they printed it, so it's not as cute as I did it. That's why I had to draw these crosses on here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's every Sunday of 2023. Oh, I don't have the one. Then I have elastic. I should have brought the one with the elastic. I have elastic that I sewed the elastic and it wraps around it. And so you just put the elastic right over your Bible. And so it stays with your Bible. And then when you go to church, you got your, you know, you can do your, I like to handwrite notes. Everybody's on their phone. But anyway, I made a whole bunch of those because for my church. And as I was sewing the elastic at 1 a.m. for the booklets and dealing with staples all day or all week, really, with the printing, and just everything was coming out not how I laid it out. And then I went to the church. But anyway, it's just the obedience of it. I was like, I knew I had to get it done before the year started. And so I did. And I realized some really cool things from that. First of all, this year, 2023, starts and ends on a Sunday. And if that's your Sabbath, then you're starting and ending with God. And we always start and end with God. But I think the first of the year, it's New Year's Day, that's a holiday. And the end of the year, December 31st is, you know, very much a secular holiday, and, you know, with midnight and all that. And I just think that is so great that we start and end this year with on a Sunday. That was neat. I thought that was neat. And that was because I was doing the booklet that God told me to do. I don't know. I just like had to get it done. And he gave me that idea in 2020. And then the other thing that was interesting is all the dates of February and November, the Sundays in February and November. And I'm not sure why this works out this way. There's probably an actual real simple reason. They're all the same dates. So those, the end of, and of course, January and December have the same dates because they end on Sunday and they start on Sunday, and they both have 31 days. But also are November and February. So the first 2 months of the year and the last 2 months of the year, everything is just really jiving. Like, you know, it's all lined up. And this is not super unusual. And so it doesn't, but it's small. And I think he takes it's a small thing, but I think he can take those small things and create, like, there's something when you're doing the small thing for God and you're obedient and you're being obedient, it's amazing what he can do with that. I mean, if you think about like a crystal and the tiny, this little tiny crystal, it's a little rock, but it's a big God. And, that's, we're putting so much on ourselves, but we just need to, it's very freeing. My point is, small things can produce a big impact. And when we're in obedience to what he wants. And when you give money and it's through God, it's through him, it's for him, it's not like things are doubled, 12 plus 12, that's 24. They're exponentially doubled. It's more like 12 times 12. That's what God can do with our obedience. So we can't dismiss it. We can't dismiss the small obedient things. If you're doing a church booklet or you're doing a blinger or whatever it is, it's important to him, and it will have exponential impact for the kingdom.
Angie, this is so awesome. I so love it. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you would bear with us, because we were like about 7 or 8 minutes started. And I'm going to allow, if you have the bandwidth, please stick with us to go over to recoup those 7 or 8 minutes, because they are essential for where you're flowing. One of the things, and thank you for giving me the privilege of reading your entire presentation. But I wanted to highlight something you said. And push back if you want to, but the effect of doubling with God, you just kind of mentioned this, but I want to read it the way you've written it. It's exponentially greater than the effect of anything else we could double or duplicate in our lives or for the kingdom. That was so essential to me, because I went live, and I'm just going to be honest with you. You sent your presentation late last night, and I had a whole lot of other stuff before I got to it. So I went to live, okay? And I hadn't read that. So I came back into my office for today from the place that I'd gone live, and I thought, well, let me see what she's going to talk about. Guess what? And you can go back and time this thing and everything. It says exponentially. That came up, and I thought when I got off the live with Facebook, now why did I say exponentially? Because, and God said, that's what I'm going to do. I get over here and I pull up what you sent me last night or yesterday evening or something. And she's using that. And I said, because I was kind of kicking myself a little bit, as I meant to say double. And God put in my words, he'll do that. And when I told some of these beautiful ladies that are here, celebrated my birthday at Capitol Grill on December 27th. And thank you guys for being here. I gave them believe. I gave them huge. I even had this huge sign made to believe. You're boldly believing today. Is positioning us to hear that God wants us to believe him, even in the small things, the little things, and our follow through, the impact. I mean, it's just amazing. And you're talking about giving. I want you to talk about that some more. We spent 3 hours on the phone last week.
I want to leave room for everybody if they have a question or anything. So I just want to share 2 things. I was going to talk about obedience. I spent too long on obedience. I clearly see now. I did not know it was 5 of and my story. But I do want to share, the second part was priorities. And I want to share 2 things about priorities. And by the way, that exponential thing is incredible. Of course, that happens with us, Beth, all the time. Okay, so, but I want to say on priorities, the reason we can feel so complete and perfect when we're obedient to God is because we're here for God. God's not here for us.
Wow.
We're here for God. We're his gift. Okay. So I think a lot of times we get that reversed, but it's not about us, right? But this is really cool too. And this just came to me today. I wrote, we're his gift, and he doubly gifts us back. I guess I wrote it down, but I didn't think I had, because I felt like this was a new thought this morning. Okay, it's right here. He doubly gives us back his Son and the Holy Spirit. So those are our gifts back. So, oh, I know what it was. It was like, so when we're obedient and we're basically aligning our gift, us here for him, and we're doing his work here for him, he will doubly, again, exponentially double what he gives back to us. That's what I felt this morning. So, and then with priorities, I heard this recently and I thought, oh, that I have to share that. So when we have our priorities, we put God, and then we put family, and then maybe work or friends, I know Crystal Parker and I might throw in work before everything else after God, but whatever. So we get it mixed in there, maybe wrong sometimes. Then we straighten ourselves up. We slap each other. But I want to say that God, of course, is our first priority, but God is also the priority in every category, in every level. So God needs to be in family, in work, in friends. And I just recently had 2 friends, and one of them I've been praying for, their husband and wife. My daughter and I have been praying for him for over a year to find the Lord. She was actually dismayed at his wedding, even though we love them to pieces. And if they're on this call, I will apologize to them after, but they know this. I've shared this with them, that we didn't like one of the jokes made about during the wedding ceremony, and they knew it. I was the bride's maid of honor, whatever. But I looked at his new wife, looked at me, and I looked at my daughter, and we knew that was not what you say when 2 people are coming together. And he wants to redo his vows next year, because I almost had given up on him. I just thought in time, I don't know that I gave up because I don't believe in that, but I just hadn't been. And I said, you guys should watch The Chosen. It's really good. And he watched 2 episodes and found the Lord. And I can't tell you what amazing that is. Anyway, last thing, expectations. I really think the expectations, we need to have huge expectations, but don't decide what they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let God take care of the rewards, if you will, of the work and the obedience. It could be that it has nothing to do with you still in this lifetime, and that's okay. And we'll be okay with that. I think focus on the work, let God take care of the outcomes. If you start to focus on the outcomes, you will be off track. Focus on the work. And he will take care of the outcomes. But if he doesn't, it's okay. You are doing your part. You're doing what he's asked of you. And again, it goes back to being free. You're truly free when you're obedient. It's a beautiful word to be obedient to God. Those are beautiful words. And so, I messed it up, as you guys heard my story many times. And I just want to wrap with this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. God will make it right. So you don't try and give it away. I gave it away several times. I gave it to an As Seen on TV company. I gave it away to another toy company before I even had the real final prototype. Then I gave it away. We got toy back in December 2022. We now have women's and toy in-house with our small team of 4. And we have extra people out there. I have a guy that does design work in Oklahoma. I have my attorney in Pennsylvania here. And I have an engineering consultant, but our main core 4 women here, we're doing it. And I have an incredible relationship with Annie, who is probably coming to Christ, and she's in China. She is our manufacturing contact in China. She's read my book twice. She told me that. She read it twice. When I introduced her to Cambria, I said, Cambria, look, Annie read my book. I sent her my book and she read it. And she goes, I read it twice. And so, you don't know what God's doing by staying obedient, writing the book that's on your heart. But I will say, don't try to give it away or think it's someone else's and not do it at all, which is just an excuse to not obey. It is yours. It is yours. It is yours. Own it. Listen to him. Obey him. Focus on what you're doing for God, not what God is doing for you. And watch how he will exponentially double all that you're believing, all that you're hoping for in 2023 and throughout your life. So that's what.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so very much.
You're
One of the
welcome.
opportunities that you had some scriptural references, and I just want to give them to the ladies that were in your presentation that we didn't go in to, but she really references Galatians 6:4-10. And it is so powerful, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but what I do have to highlight is to our Isaiah 61:7, which is one of our focal verses for this year. And when she says what she said about her, when you are knowing what it is yours to do and that is not someone else's to do, basically, I want to say, stay in your lane. When God gives you something to do, what you have to make sure is that you purpose to do what God is giving you to do. Trying to go duplicate and be Angie Cella is not what God gave you to do.
No.
No, you got to focus on who God called you to be and trust that your significance to God is just as important as Angie's or Crystal's or Pamela's or Erica's or anyone else on
Right,
this call.
absolutely.
Beth Copeland, you are significant to God. And what I loved about the way you put it in your notes, that I just love what you said about we are God's gift. You know, in newsletter last month, I said, what is the best gift that we can give to God? And I believe that it is to believe what he says about who we are is just incredible. And if we really honestly believe everything that God says about us, then it's a game changer. It's going to change the trajectory of your life. The other thing that I want to read in this book, and then I'm going to see if you guys have anything. And Crystal, if you're going to say something, I want to hear to Erica. Some of you want to say something, I want to hear. But in this book, when I met her, and I'm going to say Crystal Parker for Crystal Parker's Day and Erica Jackson for Erica Jackson's Day. But all of this works together, y'all. You don't want to miss these stories. I'm telling you. But this is what you wrote after day one of us connecting. She says, Beth, wow. All I can say is I don't have all I can say. But I'm humbled. Y'all got to know Angie, okay? But I'm humbled and so grateful to have met you and to know you. You have blessed my life in one day of being with you. For being with you. Thank you. She's telling me thank you. You got to hear the rest of this. But she said, thank you for letting me be assigned to you. Love you, Angie. And I'm telling you, that is so true to marry to. You're going to know instantly when someone's assigned to you. What we have a tendency as women, and Jerome Wilson, thank you for being on this call, because this just isn't for women, okay? And he's one of our GCBN members out of Louisiana. But thank you for joining us today, because and this goes for men too, we have a tendency to be stagnant because of relationships. I can tell you, when you get off that bus, and you have to check out something later to understand what I'm talking about, getting off the bus, but you've been riding on that bus too long with people that God hasn't assigned to you, in some kind of way you're attracted. When they let you go, tell them bye. Because what God is trying to do is to position you, to elevate you, to grow you, because he's got people already up here where you're trying to go, assigned to take you to the next step. And so the opportunity that when we believe God, but we don't believe what God says about us, we believe what every Tom, Dick, and Harry says about us. We got to start believing what God says about us. Okay, so
Yes.
that's the only thing I want to say, but is to make sure you look at her comments, because it's powerful. Read it in whatever translation you want to, but Galatians 6:4-10, and then visit Isaiah 61:7, because he says, in your land you shall prosper. Not in Toby's land, not in Carmen's land, not in Dee's land, in your land. So I say that this is Beth Copeland's interpretation. Get in your lane, because that lane is where you're going to prosper, and stop jumping over here and jumping over there. And what I like about Angie Cella, she said, God assigned her to me. Okay, she don't get to pick and choose who is Beth Copeland to be assigned to. Who God said.
Mhm.
I'm
Wow.
pretty big deal. No, I'm just kidding you, but no,
Yes, you
but
are
it's God
Beth
said you,
Copeland. You are Beth
listen,
Copeland. That's a big deal.
girl,
My
you're
book,
something else. Listen,
Beth Copeland.
listen, I got some
You're
people on this
amazing and you're
call.
beautiful and you're totally doing, I know the sacrifices and the work you're doing. And look, this isn't to like, oh, thank you. This is like, sincerely, you guys, Beth needs to be, I mean, we all want to support each other, of course, but I really want to shout out that we need to support Beth in this mission, that she is relentless. Talk about persistence and obeying. She is building something amazing for the women of Georgia and potentially the world. And so I really want us all to support her. I think one way that I'm lately feeling a calling for is that, and I wish I had focused maybe more on this for you, Beth, is we need to bring other people. We're so used to talking to the people that are easy to talk to, and they do fill us up. I get that. You guys fill me up. I feel so, I'm walking on air after I spend time with you and Crystal and Erica. But we need to take that and go and talk to someone and bring them on to these calls. That's really, we need to go build his kingdom and bring in more disciples and bring in, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but we need to bring people onto these Tuesday Take Charge calls, and I need to be on these calls. Like, I'm not on these calls. I'm just showing up for this one. I need to bring people on the call. Like, it's not just y'all, it's me. We all should bring one person.
Yeah.
And I think a cute way to say something to someone is, I don't know, I just thought of this while you're talking, is I may be assigned to you. It's just cute. It kind of gets
Yeah.
the imagination going in the other person.
Yeah.
It's a little, it might be considered a little weird, but it might be also dismissed as being cute. And it's a way to introduce yourself to other people and say, hey, I'm really just feeling like we've got to like really expand our network. If we just only talk to people that believe, I don't know,
That is so awesome. I love what you said. And this is the thing that I have to make this announcement. You're going to hear more of Angie Cella if you attend God Golfing Girls 2023. Y'all,
Yes.
there's some amazing women on this call that have already committed to be speakers on the GGG, God Golfing Girls 2023 platform. Angie Cella is also our gold sponsor, already committed, bringing the bling and all of that with her
We're
to
gonna
God
bling,
Golfing Girls.
yeah, we're gonna bling everybody.
Everybody's coming. And listen, can I tell you something else? I'm going to have to mention this. I have to. Our platinum sponsor for God Golfing Girls is on this call right now.
No.
Erica Jackson,
I
CYE.
I knew you were gonna say
I'm so
Erica.
excited, and she's coming,
She's
and
a-
she's bringing it again as she does
I
on
want
the
to be
platform.
Erica when I grow up.
I'm telling you. And then Crystal Parker is already committed to speak on the platform. She's coming. And when I talk about these ladies, you know, we've got Pennsylvania, we've got Florida, we've got another location in Florida, Jacksonville, Orlando. And then we've got a great opportunity that Georgia United committed yesterday to be our luncheon sponsor. There's still great sponsor opportunities. We're still gonna release as of February 1, opportunity for you to start registering, because I believe that this thing is going to be so off the chain. We're going to still have some other people that don't think we're going to forget about Pamela Bridgman Bartell and how Lisa Muth opens us up on Friday afternoon. We're
That's
just adding
right.
some more flavor onto it. You're just going to be so blessed this year, because God said it is now time for the double. For your shame, he's bringing double. Don't miss that opportunity. Now, do any of you quickly have any comment that you want to make? Anything that you want to say? Crystal, Erica, let us hear it.
Also, Angela. I don't know if Angela had anything.
Angie,
Angela,
my
where's
take-
Angela?
My
Oh,
takeaway,
sorry, Angela.
my
Okay.
takeaways are crazy. I'm not even gonna kid. I won't go through all of them because I need to pray over it. But you said some new stuff. Like God used you to say some new stuff I hadn't heard before, and it was really good. But one thing that I put in a box and highlighted was just the thought of risking it all for God. There's one thing where as an entrepreneur, it's hard, right? It's really hard to be out there and really do what you believe you're called to do, especially where, financially it's scary, and you saw it firsthand. And I think a lot of people sit there and look at their bank account and they see it going this way, and they look at their contracts, they look at their connections, and they're not really feeling how is this going to work. And I just wondered if you could just really just quickly touch about, you sold your dream home, you gave up all your savings, you went into debt for God, for this, what you believed. How has God doubled down on your sacrifice and obedience to, I mean, you don't have to sit there and tell your net worth. I think we could probably all look you up anyway. You're famous. But like, how's God doubled down on all of that you gave with your human eyes seeing it, but believing and trusting in him? I just love to hear the end story.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's interesting because I don't have the final chapter of the next book done.
Mhm.
And not that it has to come down to, there's been another growing stage, struggle stage, that I don't think I should go into right this second, because they had stopped working on the toy. So I got into a major brand new home with a very large mortgage,
Mhm.
not realizing that I was going to be getting toy back, and the toy had stopped. And in fact, this summer when Serena Williams had it in her hair at the US Open,
Mhm.
and when another video got 10 million views, and then the next weekend, an article came out with 12 million followers, and we had no toy product and we had no women's product available, and only Chinese infringers actually were making money on Blinger. Only they were selling about 8,000 a day. We can look at the statistics just on Amazon. 8,000 a day. None of that came to our family. It all went to these infringers. And so that was tough. Those were a tough few weekends, one after another. Even a lady I met in Cosmoprof that I never reached out to because I wasn't ready, that really liked Cambria and I, my daughter and I, when we met her. She did a video and she did it with the infringer product. And she has 18 million followers. It was like bam, 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 bam. So, but I have the team now. And what are you going to do? You have to keep going and you have to keep believing. And then sometimes we believe because we believe, we know, there's no doubt. And then sometimes we just have to make the choice to believe.
Mhm.
It has to be an actual, I am not going to not believe that he is working this out for my good. I'm
Yeah.
not going to not believe that. And if my good is I'm in a tent on the side of the road with my kids, then so be it. And
Amen.
if my good is we lose this house, it is a house. It's a house. It's like, it's funny how when people get successful, they're like, oh, not much really changed. I think that happens for people, stars, they get the role. And then it's just, you don't carry that role. I don't carry my house out into the world.
So good.
No one
Angie.
knows who I am.
It's so
I
good.
carry me out into the world, and my identity lies wholly and squarely with Christ. And so who I am is who I am from Blinger is irrelevant, I guess.
Well,
So-
but what you just said was how God has just dowered you in riches,
Mhm.
further beyond what the world could ever share.
Yeah.
You're so much
Right.
more rich than
Yeah.
ever. And
Wow.
God's
Right.
teaching you about
Yeah.
the treasures in heaven. And
Yes.
it goes beyond
Wow.
that because there's peace in
Mm-hmm.
I sense a peace when there's thousands of products that are stolen from you, but God
Yeah.
will
But God, but
Yeah.
God,
So proud.
and his word will not return unto him
Mm.
void. We have to trust nothing. That's why I think it's the year, and I don't think it's the year of the double. He said he's going to restore everything that was stolen from you. And see, people
Yes.
don't understand what she's talking about when you're sowing on good ground. See, the small things makes a difference. Here she is way over there, up there, and I'm way down here in Georgia, and she's sowing into my ministry. God gives the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. Just like the day that I heard of Crystal Parker, and who knew she was going to connect? I was on the call for 6 months with Angie Cella and didn't even realize she knew I was even in existent on the call. I get to Crystal's conference and I've got all these calls for dinner.
I'm like,
and Angie
when
Cella's like,
are we going to dinner?
and I'm like, what the what? And my daughter,
I was
Dr.
like, how do I
Jess,
not
is on
have
the
Beth's-
call.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
was like, I need Beth's number. I think we should go out to dinner. Like, I want to talk, like, Beth, you were like getting me left and right on those calls. I was like, I can't wait to meet Beth.
I didn't even know I was making an impact. All I knew is when I called Heather Rossum, and I didn't know Heather was on the call till just a minute ago. I thought it was your Heather Fink. Heather Rossum is on this phone call. Hello?
Oh, Heather was making impact
Yeah.
too. Heather's amazing.
Yes.
too.
I did not even know it. And so I'm like, oh my God.
Aw.
God is connecting people. And I'm like, Jessica, we got a dinner date with Erica Jackson, and now we've got one with, and it was just like that. And Crystal Parker is sitting there like, it's
She's
God,
like, I
it's
just put all
God.
this together.
She did all of this stuff. Y'all, you got
I just bring it
to
all
take
together. Y'all figure it out. Y'all got it.
what you make
Take it
happen
from
for
there.
others. Okay, I'm trying to make this happen for Crystal, right? For God, because I know God's led me to her, and I've joined the Christian Chamber of Commerce. I'm way up here, even had me speak there. I flew to Florida 3 times last year to Orlando. Okay.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were about her. Okay. And I'm like, God has
What
a
about-
plan, y'all.
Yeah.
And
Does
we're
anybody?
part of it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give some people some stuff away, but I've got pictures of who was here. So I'm not going to take the time to do it now, but I'm going to get
Well,
some
does
spinning
anybody
going.
else want to ask anything? Does anybody else need
Anybody?
any? Angela,
Anybody have a
did you-
question? Wait a minute.
I think-
Somebody said something. Up front is how do we know if we getting your product? I saw that somewhere. Who was that?
Yeah, they were-
it's Karen Board,
Oh,
Dr.
thank-
Karen.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do we know if you're getting your product?
Yeah. Well, it will actually have this logo on it. It will have the Blinger logo on it. It will say, I'll show you the other product because I have.
Okay. That was a good question. Yeah,
This,
but this is
one's
so
funny.
good.
This copycat copied my name, except I'm really Angie, but they made it Angela's sparkler. It's so terrible.
So,
I
so
really
the,
like the Chinese people. There's just, I really have a wonderful relationship with China, except for these. This is bling bling. This is an infringer. They haven't made a black one yet. So if you get the black one, it's ours most likely. But just look for Blinger official, you know, the Blinger logo. It's the same. These look different because this is an older Blinger, but it'll be this logo on the pink and the black. And they're basically the same. This is the original logo, and then this is the new one. But just look for Blinger, and you can tell if it says actually Blinger on the product. I guess that's the best way to tell. In the stores, there won't be any infringers. So any store where you see the product, it'll be us. But online and Walmart Marketplace, there's like 40 of them right now. And they're selling for cheaper. And then they advertise on Google. And Walmart doesn't have anything in place where we can take them down like Amazon. Amazon, we have to go in every day and take them down. Our joke is it's like whack-a-mole. We're just gonna whack 'em.
it's amazing. But God is your protector and he's your provider. I want to say to you all that we're going to spin the wheel. I'm going to get, I was trying to connect with Lisa, but I think she had to drop off. But Jessica, you can spin the wheel later. And then between the two of them, we will get some copies of this and announce those that have won. In addition to that, Angie, are you still want to send everyone that was on the call a copy of that Bible insert?
Yes, if they want the Sunday, so it'll come with an elastic thing, so you can put it in your Bible, and then if you want, we'll draw a little cross on it. My little one and I will draw a cross on it for you for your Sunday service notes. And what I like is then when you have the elastic, you can throw it in the drawer and you can reference your notes. I don't know. I like pen and paper. Kind of. I know a lot of people do it on their phones, but yes, I would love to if someone wants, if they want them.
Awesome. Yes.
Okay,
so we'll get those too. If you'll get them to us, I'm going to ask anyone
I'll
that's
ship
interested
them with
to,
the books to you.
right, when you send the books. Yes. And send me your email address and email me at info@gcbnetwork.com and send me a mailing address and we will mail those out to you. I want to thank everyone that's joined us today on the call on Facebook side of the house as well as Zoom. I sincerely appreciate your joining us on Zoom today. Thank you. But don't stop here. We have a Wellness Wednesday call with Pamela Bridgman Bartell tomorrow. Thank you so much for Karen for putting that in the chat for my email address, info@gcbnetwork.com. Listen, join us for Wellness Wednesday tomorrow with Pamela Bridgman Bartell. We're talking about experiencing prosperity in the land from a mental health, emotional standpoint. How can we press forward? And it's important that we focus on our emotional and mental well-being in order to do that as well. Join us next week. We have an outstanding show. Joshua Washington, he was at the Christian Chamber. I met him there. He is actually taking the platform next week. Would love to have you guys participate. Join us on the call for Take Charge Tuesday Power Call. And visit our website, gcbnetwork.com. We're putting God back in business. If you're not a member already, please join. Looking forward to seeing you guys soon. Angie, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Beth.
you. Thank
Mwah.
you. I love you.
Love you.
I love
Love
you,
you.
girl.
Thank
It's
you so much,
been
Beth.
wonderful.
Amazing.
Okay.
It
We'll
has
touch.
been. Thank you.
We'll touch again soon. I promise we
Love
won't be on the
working with
phone
you.
3 hours, huh?
I love our calls.
I winked, okay, because we can't get off the phone.
It's terrible. All right, I'll hang up. Should I hang up? You hang up.
We'll hang up. Bye, guys. We love
Bye.
you guys. You're awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye
Thank you.
now.